All right, guys, good morning. Good morning. Welcome aboard to the Morning Note. My name is Carlos Garcia, founder and CEO of GAR Capital. It is Thursday, October 12th, 2023. Glad to be with you this morning. Thanks again for checking us out on our YouTube channel. This is your first time here. Make sure to like these videos, comment your questions. I'll answer them as soon as I get them or as soon as I can get to them. And also subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of our videos. As you know, every weekend we do the market recap of the week and preview the next week. And every day here we do the morning note, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Glad to be with you this morning, guys. Let's go around the horn on the future side. Dow futures up 57 points off their highs. NASDAQ green was red slightly earlier post CPI. We're going to go over that print number, 15,392. S&P 4414 right below that resistance of the 100-day moving average. We're going to chart it together. 1791 on the Russell. We're going to chart that as well, bouncing off some support on trend line. 10-year treasury yields go green, 4.606, slight reversal. 1581 on the VIX. That hit 20, as you know. I believe it was last week, and then we pulled back. We're now at 1581. Crude oil is bouncing 84.83. I shorted it yesterday as I was literally typing the short. The thing, crude oil did fall all the way down to, I want to say, see if I can get this number. It got as low as 82.82, but then it bounced. We're at 84.76. So watching it here for a possible short, if not a breakout for above 86 for a long, if we get there. So watching crude on the futures side. Gasoline futures $2.21, up 0.23%. Gold is up 0.21% at 18.91. Silver futures 22.24. $3.61 for copper. Let's see, euro dollar 105.84. That's down 32 pips. Dollar yen is up 27 pips, 149.43, near that 150 level that the BOJ has been watching. Bank of Japan. Pound dollar 122.68. That's down 41 pips this morning. Bitcoin is up this morning, 26,905. That's up 0.39%. Ethereum is down 1547, down about 0.83%. Good morning, everyone. And the dollar is above 106 at 106.02. I don't know if I got over that. All right, so let's go ahead and expand S&P 500 futures. Let's go over the CPI numbers, Consumer Price Index. This is the inflationary reading based on consumer prices spent. Yesterday, we had Producer Price Index. If there's one thing about finances, especially trading and markets, there is a ton of abbreviations. That's kind of how it works. So again, a lot of PPI, CPI, GDP, NFP. As you do this longer, you'll start noticing those kind of abbreviations and stuff like that. Kind of similar to the military. You know, we don't have time to talk in full words. We're kind of just talking about 3 letters, and everyone should know what that means. So I apologize if I speak these kind of terms, and if you don't understand them, please ask, and I'll definitely explain exactly what they mean. So the assumption is, since you've been with us for a while, you kind of know what a PPI and CPI, GDP, NFP, all that means, or PMIs as well. So there's so many of those abbreviations, it can get a little confusing. But again, it's important to ask these questions. So again, CPI means Consumer Price Index. This is the inflationary reading in terms of consumer prices. What you and I pay. Producer Price Index would be what Pepsi or companies, Coca-Cola, Lowe's pays, for example. US Steel, what they would pay. US CPI month over month basis, MOM equals month over month. September, remember we're still looking at backwards. 0.4% versus a 0.6% on a CPI previous. So again, lower inflation, but again, still above consensus of 0.3%. Let's see here, year over year 3.7% versus a 3.6. This is what we call the headline number. This is without core. Core CPI means excluding food or energy. That's up 0.3%. That met expectations year over year at 4.1%. That's flat in terms of expectations. Core year over year, like we talked about, 4.1 versus 4.1. So again, you have the headline number where it just says CPI, no core indicated. And then you have the core strip out food and energy, or food and gas. Initial jobless claims 209,000 versus the estimate of 210,000. The previous week was 207,000. So we added about 2,000 people to the jobless claims number. Again, labor market is still relatively strong. Continuing claims 1702,000, so 1.7 million. Estimated was 1.6 million, 1.67 million. The previous was 1.664. So again, a little bit of a jump in continuing claims, and you could see the initial jobless claims was a little better than expected. U.S. short-term interest rate futures fall after the CPI report. So that's what happened right at 8:32 when we got that info. So we got the dollar spike. Let's take a look at the S&P 500. You can see this shaded area, kind of our zone of support. That's kind of the pivot level that we're looking for. We're above that. We're rejecting the 100-day moving average. Yesterday, we did not trade anything because we had the CPI number today. So again, we want to be prudent. We're already looking really great in futures and option side. Again, all we're looking for is if we either get continuation or a rejection. So we need to get above really 44.35. Let's go and place that alert. That's your 50-day moving average. Since it's so close to the 100, if we get above 44.36, we can target 4,500 as our next target for some upside on S&P. If we break below 43.67, 43.65, we could target 43.10 as long as that trend line holds. So that's where we are. And we talked about this yesterday. We want to stay above the 200-day. We just got CPI out of the way. Thank God. Actually not usually, last year when we had CPI in October, we tanked, and that's when the bottom hit. So far, so good. The market is not open yet. We are green. If we can get above 44.36 and get above 4,500, that's really it, guys. That would be your bottom, your 200-day, your trend line. That would be the bottom for the rest of the year. The idea is to just hold out. Can we hold above the trend line and the 200-day so we can continue grinding higher for November and December as expected? And again, my expectation, yes, I know, a grand one, is all-time highs by the end of the year, 48.08. And you're probably thinking to yourself, that's probably not going to happen. Boy, if we can get above 4,500, we're a stone's throw away from 46.18, and then you got nothing but clear air, clean air. Now the thing is, do we stay above this trend line? That's really the key. We're close. We're pretty close to getting, clear skies where, okay, the worst is over. Now 2024 is a whole different story. Again, that is going to be volatile, as we know, with a presidential election coming. We'll go over that in December, January, but as of right now, let's keep the focus until the end of the year. We just started Q4. Tomorrow begins earnings season with the banks, so a lot to go over. Let's go to NASDAQ futures this morning. We'll go to the daily. We are above the 50, we're above the 100, we're above the 20, and we're definitely above the 200. Really, really nice. You got to get above 15, what's this number? 15,450, let's say. We broke it, so I'm going to put it 460 to confirm. 15,460 for that break. We can target 15,724. We can move our stops as we go. We got about 300 points ahead of us if we can get it. So that's NQ. Let's take a look at the Russell 2000 futures, which have been taking a hit, as we know. Boy, how clean. The trend line bounced right off it. Not off it, but pretty close, just like the S&P 500. We are right at the 20. Where we're going to close is the key. Let's see if we can get above 1816, and then we can possibly avoid this death cross that's going to happen on the Russell, the 50 below the 200. So now we're at another pivot point. We got to get above. We got to spike. If not, we're going to have a death cross on the Russell, and then that's going to hurt us until the end of the year unless this can be unwound. So not the best look in terms of the Russell. Let's take a look at the Dow futures. We're above the 20-day, same as the S&P, same as the NASDAQ, same as the Russell. Kind of a point of inflection. Let's see how the market responds towards the rest of the day after the CPI number. We got a couple of names that I'm looking at this morning. I posted it on the blog yesterday. Let's take a look at it. Let's see, we got the lunchtime snooze. CPI, here we go. So here is, we got that bounce yesterday talking about some stocks. So let's go over it together. Palantir above 1844. Let's go to Palantir. And we're going to go to the hourly. And you could see that we did play Palantir earlier this week, if you guys remember. Above 1844. I'm looking at the 20 calls for next week. Let's take a look at Tesla. Tesla needs to get above 270 or 269.36, and I'll target the 280s. I was looking at those yesterday, but I did not fill because they were a little pricey for the next week. Meta above 330.50. We're not there yet. Pretty close. We got there pre-market. Go to the daily, and you could see if we break that, we could target 353 or 350 on calls. ES above 44.27, S&P 500 futures. We broke above that overnight. We did not send that out. I'm going to put it at 44.36 as my alert. That clears the 100-day. We're still above the 20-day. So far, so good. Maybe we get a pullback today or some chop. Yesterday was pretty choppy. Nothing to do. And then we have crude oil below 82 as the expectation or the alerts. And I talked about crude. Again, we want to see if we get above 86. If we do, if we can get above 86 or so, we could target this 20-day around 88.42, but pretty choppy. Let's see if we break above. If not, we can roll over past below the 50-day. So that's another place of inflection. So do we hit resistance? That's really the question. Did we hit it? Well, we're going to see how the day goes today. We had a green day yesterday, and you could see on the NASDAQ right there, we're so close, but we're above major moving averages. I expect us to continue higher, but today is kind of the question of what do we get? And we got the VIX spiking a little bit off the lows, NASDAQ flirting with red, and 10-year Treasury yield starting to bounce. So as long as we could stay above 284, if we can hold 100 points on the NASDAQ today, we'll still be at least in somewhat of a trend to continue higher. So we'll see what we get today. I don't expect much. Looks like the market is kind of digesting the CPI number. If you remember yesterday with PPI, we'll go to the S&P to kind of give us a little bit of a context. And you could see on a 5-day basis, on Wednesday, you had this drop post PPI all the way down. We got down to what, 43.77 from the peak post print of 44.10. So around about 40 handles, and then we bounced right around 2 and closed at the highs of the session. So again, could be the similar kind of price action. We get that fade right into where was this? We get that fade post PPI, post number that was a little hotter than expected. As long as you hold this support around 43.70, which is kind of our level of pivot, you got that bounce, continued higher, and we pulled back. So best to just wait, be patient, and see what we get moving forward instead of just adding risk unnecessarily. We got a watch list of names that we're watching. Got tons: Palantir, Tesla, Amazon. If we get above 132.41, I'm taking a look at the 135 calls. I'm leaning higher. Obviously, we had that big spike in put call ratios. We talked about that over the weekend. So I think we're setting ourselves up as we get into the earnings season, as we get into stock buybacks, as we get into seasonally strong end of October into strong November. We're kind of setting ourselves up for that push. So let's see if we get to 4,500 by the end of the week, maybe 4,500 by the end of next week, and then we could see if we can go a little higher. This could all change as we know, but in terms of S&P 500, we want to stay above 43.67, as we know, 43.70, kind of similar to yesterday's price action after the digestion of the PPI. We want to get to this trend line, worst case scenario, and hold it, which is right around 4,300. So again, we're about 100 points away from that, 110. I don't expect that to happen today, but it can. Be ready for anything. So again, I expect higher today. If not, just slightly higher, marginally higher, some chop. If we can get above 44.36, 44.50, 4,500 would be next. But if we pull back on this CPI number, 43.67 needs to be your support. Would I short it here? No, I wouldn't. Even if you broke 4,400, you're only going to gain 30 points. Unless you're planning to scalp, I'm not touching it. We're going to be patient. We've had a great week so far. If anything, we want to keep up with the high probability setups, and we want to look and see if our runners do the job. That's pretty much it. And we're looking for next week expiry. We definitely don't want anything for this week. We've been there, done that, got the t-shirt, and it's always a grind. So we're going to take our time, look at the market. The initial price action in the morning, we saw that yesterday when we got that dip, and then we bounced midday. So, that's with headlines and everything. We'll see what we get moving forward. We also got a couple of news this morning. Delta reported earnings. That's on the blog. If you guys are interested, link and information is on the description below. Let's take a look at it. Delta Airlines stock rose 3% after the carrier reported stronger than expected quarterly profit on strong international travel, but they did trim its full-year outlook to higher fuel costs. Walgreens Boots Alliance, WBA, stock rose 1.4% in volatile trading despite retail pharmacy giant offering a disappointing 2024 earnings forecast, as well as weak Q4 earnings as demand for COVID vaccines and tests weakened. So less sick people is not good for Walgreens. Ford stock fell 2.2% after the United Auto Workers announced a surprise walkout at the auto giant's biggest and most profitable plant in Kentucky, the largest single walkout since targeted strikes began 4 weeks ago. Domino's Pizza fell 2.3% after the pizza chain missed market expectations for its quarterly revenue as higher menu prices and delivery charges discouraged inflation-wary consumers. Microsoft fell 0.6% after the IRS notified the software giant that it's seeking an additional tax payment of $28.9 billion plus penalties and interest for the tax years of 2004 to 2013. We're going to keep an eye on that. Target up this morning 2.9% after Bank of America upgraded its stance on the chain of discount department stores to buy from neutral, saying its recent stock sell-off creates an attractive buying opportunity. Target, I know, and that thing has been a falling knife, but a nice bounce today. Let's take a look at the daily. Does it give us an opportunity to maybe trade it? Still below the 20-day, 112. I think you're right below the 20-day, so really not much to do there in that sense. You don't need to be the first one out the gate to trade this. You don't have to be the first one to catch the falling knife, but maybe we're carving a bottom. But again, this is all dependent on the fact of, do we get higher rates? Does the consumer hold up? How does Q4 hold up? What's their holiday guide look like? Holiday sales guide. Remember, they don't have a big grocery footprint the way a Walmart does. Walmart can get away with groceries and using that to help out their numbers. Target doesn't have that much of that exposure in terms of groceries. So if you go to Walmart and you're going to get groceries, more likely to buy something else. If you go to Target, you're not more likely buying groceries. You're buying stuff around the house, for example. So we'll see how the holiday shopping does. Bank of America placing that note. We'll keep an eye on things as we go. But as of right now, we're looking at the S&P 500 in totality, to give us any kind of hint for possible direction or continuance or bottom. Again, we'll see what we get. That's where we are this morning, guys. You're all updated. Thank you guys again. Appreciate you guys as always. Have a great rest of your Thursday. I will catch you guys on the market blog on Discord. Any kind of questions, feel free to tag me. Be careful, guys. On the server, there is impersonators of me. If you are not sure about who you're speaking to, I will never ask for personal information. I will never ask for financial documentation. I will never ask you to DM me or send me Cash App money or crypto or brokerage access. I will never ask for that. We have a website for that reason. The website is www.gar.capital. It has a payments processing company that handles everything, Stripe or PayPal. So if you want to use those, that's fine. But none of this DMing me or sending me money, that's not how it works. Any person impersonating me on Instagram or on any social media, again, if you are not sure, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram at CEO.GarCapital, CEO.GarCapital, all one word. It has a blue check mark, so you know it's me. Or if you're on the blog and you're not sure, make sure to go through the actual market blog channel. Don't answer any DMs. I don't send DMs to just anybody on the Discord because people can get wary if it's really me or not. But if you go to the live market blog, click on my name. Only the staff can talk on the blog. That's when you know it's me. Again, feel free to add me as a friend on any social media platforms to make sure it's me. The last thing I want, guys, is any of you guys losing any money to a scam. I've been doing this for 9 years. You know us. You've been with us. We're rocking with you. Cheers to another 9-10 years in the future. October 15th is Gar Capital's birthday, so can't wait for that. Have a great rest of your morning. I will see you guys tomorrow. Cheers.